Huh. Well, this is a rather interesting opening screen, isn't it? Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Mac. This is Let's Play Lembas Company. And this is the... what is it? 6.2 Intervalo? And we have an update to download because of course we do. So skim ahead just a little bit.
먼저 들어가셔도 괜찮습니다, 관리자님. 저는 오늘도 차차 시간까지 근무가 예정되어 있기에.
It's so tempting to immediately click over and turn everything into modules. We don't want to do that. So, announcements. We have the new Warp Express content. We have a Honglu focused extraction. New target extraction for the ego and the identity. And system notifications on, hey, this is when the maintenance happened. They gave us out a bunch of free lunacy, that's nice. Yeah, I did do these this morning, I guess I just forgot to turn them in. And yeah, let's jump straight to Dispense. Is this... This is an event identity, so I do not have enough Utis shards to pull her Dimension Shredder. She can gain up to 10 charge, but consumes up to 40 charge. That's... I remember a lot of people theory crafting about, is this really going to save W-Core Otis? And it looks like it won't. At less than maximum charge count, consume missing HP to gain up to maximum charge count. Max charge obtainable from this effect by 30. This does not reduce HP to 0. It rounds down. We can still consume up to 40 charge count though. Increase her max charge count by 5. Skills that consume charge count deal 2% more damage for every charge minus 1. Yeah, the thing is, fights just aren't long enough for that sort of ramp up. But what we can do...
이 계획에는 다수의 결함이 존재합니다. 파우스트가 이 합점 투성이 계획을 완전 무결하게 만들어드리죠.
We have the new Faust. Granted, I don't think I want to uptie her perfectly just yet, but we can at least have a look. Consume 5 charge count to gain 1 coin power. She gains 2 charge count on hit. At 5 to 9 charge count, consume 2 10 minus current charge count percent HP to raise charge count to 10, and then consume it to gain coin power. At 3 resonance, including this skill, consume all charge count on self, and deal more damage for every charge count consumed by this skill. And the guard gives her a charge count on use. I'm not sure I like the idea of her burning her HP so freely. Oh, she actually has little tags up here. She's a MultiCrack office, she's a fixer, and she's a mechanical amalgam. Alright, I'm sure there's a lot of interesting little things we can see there. Uptie her to tier 2, she gains 1 max speed, she gains 3 charge count on hit, not quite enough to make up for it. Deal charge plus 3% more damage for every charge count consumed by this skill. Gain 1 charge count every time... Gain 1 charge every time this unit consumes 10 charge count in this encounter. At 2+ charge, deal charge times 3% more damage. On kill, this unit and the ally with the least charge count gains charge count equal to charge. Maximum 3. Prioritize allies that consume or gain charge. And were we to get her to uptie 3, skill 3 is where she gets all +2 charge, coin power +2, and she gains charge count with her skill 3. Increase the base power of her skill 1, increase the coin power of her skill 2. When one ally with the least charge count kills an enemy, the ally gains +2 charge count. We can get that full uptie later, but... Honestly, what else am I going to use it? When else am I going to use this ID, and what else am I going to use the level up tickets on? So... That's funny, I thought I set this up for the event. I never use teleport on this Faust, but I might have to. We don't have his double star ID yet, so can't really do anything there, I guess. Good tank, because we don't exactly have much in the way of tank around here. Like, just about every W core ID is weak to blunt. It's kind of an Achilles heel. Probably also makes Dicey Association already in there a good idea. And Sync Association. You do have a warp, but we don't have your new ego. And you do not have a warp either, so have a tank. Alright, sounds good to me. This is a long event, so it might take a lot of grinding to get this stuff. But yeah, we didn't spend all the episode just looking at new stuff. We actually got to try it. Alright, how did this happen? First, we boarded the warp train to get to our next destination, P-Core. Got it into our fancy first-class flash freeze hibernation capsules, and we were supposed to arrive at P-Core after a quick blink of an eye, but... Dante, please respond, there's... The first thing I saw when my vision returned was the perplexed look on Faust, who had entered hibernation at the same time as I did. Then I realized that we woke up mid-transit on the warp train, which could only mean that we're now stranded in some lost unknown dimension. Dante, I understand your considerable degree of disorientation, but... What the hell happened? First things first. Let's rewind and return to the very start of this highly unfavorable situation we find ourselves in. You can't do in media res in a game like this. You can only do it at the very start of a game. A few days ago. Our next destination is to a warp train, Dante. What? Yep, that's where it all started. There I was, still perplexed by the incidents at T-Core, with my awful idea of clearing the air by asking Virgilius for our next destination, not knowing the storm my innocent question would bring. Verily, I must have misheard thee? I'm certain you heard me right, Don Quixote. We are now en route to T-Core Warp Station. The Warp Station must have some conundrum that must be resolved there, indeed. A quest that must be swiftly addressed at the station, yes? Did a distortion pop up at one of the warp platforms or something? I see you are now significantly less disinclined to take on some side jobs. But no. We are boarding the warp train to get to P-Core, end of story. There's nothing between the lines, so don't try reading into it. Are we just leaving the bus behind? It was only natural that the sinners immediately fell into a state of collective dumbfounded shock. None of the sinners have any history of working at W Corps, but we're actually taking that train. Through what vague information we could gather from the identities, we all had some fragmentary knowledge about the terrible secrets of the warp train's operations. I initially considered hiding this information from the rest of the sinners, but since sharing things with everyone and letting them get their 2 cents in usually ended up being pretty helpful more often than not, I've been sharing more of these as of late. Though I have very dim, if present at all, recollections from the time during I wear the identities. It can be determined from the conversational records between the manager and the identities that the mechanisms behind Warp Train's operation can be deemed as somewhat bizarre and inefficient. Right, that thing that we get whenever we open up the game. Oh, yeah, it's that 10-second trip that actually takes a long time, right? And when the train reaches the destination, they just wipe the passengers' memories? I also heard that the passengers get so tired and weary that they start literally ripping and tearing into one another. Sounds like I might finally have a chance to see a masterpiece with my own eyes. Even when the sinners wear the identities through my identity cards, the identity memories or beliefs don't bleed into them once it's over and done with. Thank goodness, imagine how horrible it would be if Encore Faust carried over. Or really any Encore identity. Or actually, we have so many identities that we really wouldn't want bringing over to the main story that... Please no. I remember when Faust explained that, due to the risks associated with embracing such influences, there was a filtering process to intentionally block them from reaching the sinners. That's why the sinners could use the identities of some of our worst enemies without getting infected by their philosophies and whatnot. But it also meant that they couldn't retain any new information that each identity had to offer. That's why I keep a record of some things that sound particularly important, and sometimes share it with the rest of the sinners. My voice doesn't carry well past the window, so most of our communications are one-sided. But I had an abundance of W Corps identities, so it wasn't difficult to piece together the truth behind the trains. That is true. I think W Corps might have the most identities available at the moment. Faust, Ryoshu, Don Quixote, Mersault, Honglu, Yi Sang, Utus. Yeah, we have 7 now. But, maybe ignorance really is bliss. Your alarmed response and possible incompliance have already been accounted for. Faust, then thou hast known this all along? Wherefore hast thou not deigned to tell me of this? Faust has indeed known this all along, as no knowledge is out of Faust's reach. As expected, a solution to your dilemma has already been prepared. I seriously doubt your solution involves not getting on the train. So what is it? The bus. What about this bus? There's no way this thing fits inside a train car. Charon vetoes too. No one to feed Mephi when Charon's gone. Miss Faust. The rearmost tail cars of warp trains are all freight cars. That is where Mephistopheles will be safely fastened and transported. And the LCB will have the benefit of boarding as first-class passengers. The bus begins to swell with noise again, though in a slightly different air to the alarmed response from earlier. First-class passengers? What, the seats for those pompous toffs? Even on normal trains, you've got those sods whose proudest accomplishment in life is planting their asses in first-class seats, while others are cramming themselves into freight cars because they haven't the cash for even an economy ticket. Hey, don't look at me. I've never been in one of those first-class seats before either. Isn't the ticket for a single first-class ticket like as expensive as 3-4 months' salary of a first-year wing employee? Can our budget really handle paying for all our fares? The company's budget is not a subject that warrants your concern. I heard first-class passengers get some cool bonus stuff like personalized private capsules or something, don't they? That is the promotional language, yes. They are flash-freeze hibernation capsules, to be precise. They have been designed to easily withstand the true amount of time it takes for warp train to travel from point A to point B. The trip will be over in the blink of an eye for passengers. The company's regard for our well-being is unfamiliar yet welcome. To be provided such extravagance for our comfort, such occurrences quite seldom. Right? I honestly thought they were going to slip just the guide and Charon into the first class seats and ship the rest of us in the economy cars. This seems like an unnecessary luxury. They should have saved their budget and given only the executive manager and their lawyer advisors access to those seats. You know, there's probably going to be a lot more to this than you realize, Utis. Maybe you should just learn to keep your mouth shut. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're taking the train to get to our next mission, alright? We have to think about the unique nature of warp trains and prepare ourselves accordingly. Right, I know it's a first class and all, but warp trains are just plain creepy. I knew you'd also be worried about... For example, economy passengers are going to have a hard time getting into a first class car. If they can even attempt to open it, I mean, I'm pretty sure the door separating the cars is ironclad. Ishmael, who'd been holding that first class promotional pamphlet in her hands for a while, was chattering on with fire in her eyes. We won't even have to lift a finger. We just have to board the train, get into our capsules, shut our eyes and snooze through the entire ride until all that mess in the other cars blows over. I heard they used to give out commemorative merch back when their finances weren't in the gutter, and... oh. You know what I just thought of? Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. All you have to do is get on the train to Poshley Heights and get to the other end. It's just going to be 3 days of laying back and relaxing, and it doesn't happen because we wouldn't be watching if it was that simple. A true adventure is not without its hardships, yet even the most exalted of heroes cannot venture without respite. And in very rare occasions, the hero may even deign to select a first-class seat to rest in place of a quaint inn. Indeed, indeed. Seems like everyone was at least somewhat interested in the fabled first-class seats of warp trains. Hopefully we don't get to turn into puppets like the last time the player had the spotlight on those things. I could sense there was a growing consensus among the sinners that even a warp train trip might be acceptable, if it meant they could ride in the first-class seats. I will board the train if I must. Is first-class seating mandatory? I prefer the scenic route. Don't want to miss out on all the fun. Oh, of course you do, Ryoshu, of course you do. Virgilius pretended not to hear Ryoshu's question. Very well, then I assume we are all in agreement. Let's go. I've a matter of great import to discuss with thee. What is it? Out with it, lass. Beating around the bush ain't like you. Don Quixote carefully began, almost whispering in a low voice. That is, in the first-class seats. I've heard tell that we must board with our feet freed from our boots. Doth thou claim... That's something that we haven't actually had a lot of focus on. Don Quixote actually has a thing about her shoes. Even in her Encore identity where she's wearing heavy armor, she still wears the same pair of shoes. Just like you can always expect the same tattoo on Rodian, albeit not in a position you can see it. Ryoshu always has her sword, or katana. All the sinners have these little quirks to them that you don't think about until the story brings attention to it. Oh, come on now, what kind of nonsense gossip is this coming from this time? 'Tis no gossip, forsooth I have overheard aught from those we have walked past ere today, and... When one of them inquired, You know you gotta go barefoot in first class, right? The other responded with, Of course, man, what am I, stupid? Doth the traveller speak true, Ishmael? Don't ask me, I've never been on one of these before either. But you have the pamphlet. I don't remember seeing anything like that on the pamphlets. Give me a sec. I mustn't be separated from the Rocinante, not even for a twinkle. I shan't toss Rocinante to the side next to such vulgarities like the ugly shoes of Sir Heathcliff. Oi, you little... I implore thee, O illustrious red gaze, prithee grant me thy permission and allow me to board with Roccacante. I expected Virgilius to answer with his usual exasperated rebuff, but this time he responded in a somewhat serious, if tainted by that familiar annoyance, tone. Fine, keep your shoes on. Oh yeah, that's right, we're counting down to a terrible, terrible fate. The Northern Fixer. This place is huge. That was my first impression of the warp train station. Oh, so this is... Don Quixote shouted vibrantly, immediately recovered from her previous apprehension of the sheer possibility she might be separated from Rocinante. This isn't something that I've really had to deal with, so I just go by visual. And for some reason, I read a double C instead of a double N. So each nest has one of these massive structures in them. I got nothing. Boy, know anything about what they're asking? Heathcliff asked, gesturing towards Mersault with his chin. Every warp train station has been built with a general design philosophy that draws from their respective nests' architectural idiosyncrasies. It can also be said that many critics in relevant fields praise the warp train stations as one of the many cultural cornerstones of the city. You make it sound like we get tourists. I have no idea when it happened, but Heathcliff started treating Mersault like a walking encyclopedia from time to time. Do you think it was that time he managed to use Chain of Others in a critical moment? Mersault! Young Mersault! Lo, is that passenger over yonder one from the west? Incorrect. Leather-based clothing and metal armor are predominant fashion trends often visible in the outfits of Western population, while that individual's cloth-based style is something ubiquitously observed through the population of North and South. They are largely concerned to be a Eastern fashion trend, rarely seen among Western. Prithee, slow thyself, for I must make a record of thy lectures. What wisdom dost thou have to impart regarding the fashion of the northern region? I have once espied in a magazine that they are garbed in loose-fitting outfits, understandably so given the colder climates of the region. An opportunity for a first-hand observation stands before you. Oh! 3 seconds of screaming duet. One of utter fascination, the other of unmitigated frustration. What the shit? You nearly blew out my eardrums. You're the one to talk. Dude, I've got an audible frequency range expansion implant in my eardrums. Holy shit, man. Now, get the hell out of my way. You're blocking the walkway like a ragtag band of hicks. I've never even seen a warp train before. Damn it. To take the train all the way here for an expedition, only to lose my target. Now these assholes are trying to blow out my eardrums. Great, just great. I love this. Guys, is it that obvious we've never been on a warp train before? And the ticket fee came straight out of my damn pocket. Oh, watch out, big fella. Someone might get seriously hurt if you keep swinging those forearms around, each holding a weapon to boot. Prithee, wilt thou stand still for but a moment to satisfy a few inquiries of mine regarding thy outfit? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Stand in absolute stillness for 5 minutes and I... Seriously? The fixer, with a particularly impressive set of prosthetic arms, spent a few minutes venting several of his numerous grievances at us before storming off to a different platform. Ah, indeed, 'tis grand this city of sundry odd personalities. I'm pretty sure he was thinking the same thing. I guess this city really is full of people with full-body prosthetics. That's when Virgilius slowly walked up to our group. Well then, we'll rendezvous at the destination. Huh? Will the illustrious Red Gaze not ride alongside us? W-Corps policy demands those with the title of colour must board a train specially prepared for them instead. because the times that when they don't have gone absolutely crazy. Oh, are you like riding the first class plus or something? That's a colour for you, I guess. Special treatment from the wings no matter where he goes. Sharon wants to go back to Mephi. Mephi will be lonely. I already told you why you can't, Sharon, on 3 separate occasions in which I bought you those multi-flavoured candies. Humans are not allowed aboard the freight cars. Then Miss Faust? Yes. Virgilius, after exchanging a knowing look and nod with Faust, escorted the particularly peeved Charon away. Dante, let us proceed this way. We followed Faust's guidance to the entrance to our car. Damn. Oh, hey, our colours are starting to come back. Oh! Hey, these must be those fabled complimentary food and drink of the first class seats. Heck yeah, of course. Quality stuff like this got to be included with that insane pricing. The general response to this room was a surprise at the rows upon rows of expensive looking, sizable capsules. Flash freeze hibernation, huh? I guess it literally freezes our bodies in a flash. Faust, are these flash freeze hibernation devices safe? Please elaborate on your exact definition of safe. These things are supposed to freeze us solid, right? Can we really come back from something like that? A flash freeze hibernation device will put you in a temporary state of death caused by rapid cellular cryopreservation process. However, the rapidity of the process prevents damage to your cell walls during the phase change. Therefore, in most normal cases, this will not cause any issues. We're gonna kill you, but don't worry, we're gonna bring you back to life again. Oh boy, girl genius. Faust is aware that this model has fully resolved cell wall breaching issues caused by cryogenic density change or ice crystal growths of hydrogen molecules. I missed about half of what you said, but your point is that it's safe, right? Yes, as far as Faust is aware, even if an issue were to arise during the journey, because everyone will be reverted to their states at the beginning of the train trip upon arrival, there won't be any lasting complications from said problem. Is that why we have T-Track modules installed in these trains? No, I think that it's what's it called? I can't ever remember what they're called because they aren't distortions and they aren't abnormalities, but each wing has their own big secret super weapon, and for W Core apparently it's restoration. So they aren't using T-Core, they're just marketing off all the extra time to T-Core. Oi, you've got some real talent in dragging out something so simple as, yeah, it's safe, to so many words. Seriously. Indeed, as Faust's talents are not limited to a singular field. Okay, but that still leaves a lot to be worried about. Wait, there was something odd about the way she phrased that. As far as Faust is aware, are you saying it could be wrong? As a general rule, Faust does not err. However, Faust is also not a divine being. There are certain information in this world that Faust is yet to have access to. Therefore, while Faust may speak the facts, what is said may not always align with the truth. Okay. They don't call first class for nothing, I guess. T-Core's way up in the northernmost corner of the city. But this thing will take us there in the blink of an eye, huh? That's one hell of a time saver. Oh! Prepare thyself, Rossisante! Thus begins the long jaunt! Oh, I've been meaning to ask, Donny. Do you ever, wash those shoes? Where'd that come from, Rhodia? No, I mean, think back to when we were inside that whale. When that whale blew up, we got all kinds of its gross slimy bits on us. They were on our clothes, our shoes, everything. Yeah. And do you remember how much work it took us to clean our bloodied, fishy fleshy gunked clothing? This really isn't something I want to revisit, but yeah. Right, and do you also remember how Don Quixote never took her shoes off once during that whole ordeal? Okay, I guess they do look a bit filthy. I ask thee, dear compatriots, hast thou ever witnessed an errant knight who leaves the side of their beloved steed? Can't say I've ever witnessed a knight before, though. Then thou shalt know. Starting now, behold it, hearken to it, and remember it well. They never quiet down, do they? Oh, have you been on one of these, Utis? I have been treated to a premium VIP seats of similar grandiosity back when. This is nothing to fuss over. Utis, who was just sitting there and shaking her legs, suddenly asked Faust a question. Hey, you're confident that no accident shall ever occur on one of these first-class cars, yes? In order to prevent cases of unnecessary anxiety and misgivings among the sinners, the history of accidents that has occurred aboard warp trains will not be shared. Wait, what the? Beep. Oh, I think we're leaving soon. This is for warp train PW612 bound for P-Corp. Boarding period is ending soon. The sinners, who are either leisurely enjoying their complimentary snacks or taking a look around the first-class car, suddenly became a lot busier. Then let us hurry and enter our capsules before it is too late. No, why isn't this? The other sinners made it into their capsules no problem, but I felt like I was the only one who's fumbling. Is it anxiety, Dante? I think so. Initiating warp in 10 minutes. Allow me to assist you. Stand as though you are leaning back, and Faust expertly guided me into the capsule as though she'd done something like this before, then pressed a button inside the capsule that closed the hatch. Okay, I can see that Honglu is the one over here, and I'm quite sure that... This one's either Donnie or it's Rodian, but I want to say Donnie. Of course, these could also be complete strangers. They might not necessarily be us friends. Do not worry too much. We will meet again in but a moment, Dante. I thought I heard a brief sigh, but the hatch shut tightly before I could ask her anything. Initiating warp. Please confirm that your seatbelts are firmly fastened. The last thing I saw before my capsule began to fill with gas was Faust climbing into her own capsule opposite of mine. I had no idea then what she really meant by, "We will meet again in but a moment." Dante, you must wake up, Dante! But one thing I knew for sure was, an inconceivable situation has occurred. That something had seriously gone wrong. We'll find out what that is next time. Until then, guys, take care. I'll see you all around. Oh man, we've still got more story, don't we?